Yeah, hi guys. Today we are going to see about Big IP, the F5 Big IP. So to more about the F5 Big IPs, it is F5 Big IP is a family of products covering like software and hardware. It's designed around the application availability, access control, and security solution. So the big IP name is like it's between the FI software and the hardware application delivery controller and security products. So this big IP, the FI's big IP, is different from big IQ. So big IQ is a suite of management and orchestration tools and the FI Silverline. So the FI SaaS platform. So like when people say big IP, so it is like FI. So they say big IP. So it is like a single software module. So in the big IP's software from family, like so it is like a, kind of a single software module. If you say big IP, it's like kind of a single software module, or like if you can say that instead we can say that it could be like a hardware chassis sitting in your data center. So the big IP, so what is big IP? So big IP is actually a software module, or you can say it is a hardware chassis which is sitting in your data center. So this can cause like, okay, what is big IP? Now let's see like what is big IP software does and what does big IP soft hardware does. So the big IP software products, these are the licensed modules that run on top of the F5's traffic management orchestration, that's called TMOS. So this is a custom made operating system. So it's like an event driven operating system which is exactly designed for the purpose of the network and application traffic, that they want to make real time decisions on like whatever configurations that you're going to provide. So this big IP software, like it can run on a hardware or it can run in virtualized environments. So if you take the virtualized systems, so the big IP software functionality where the hardware implementations are not available, so including you mean to say like public clouds and various management infrastructures, and where like rack space itself is a critical commodity. Okay, so in this case we can run it in a virtualized environment as well, like where the because the virtualized systems provide big IP software functionality where like the hardware thing is not available. So the big IP local traffic manager, you will be hearing this word called LTM. So LTM is the big IP's local traffic manager. So it is central to the FI's full traffic proxy functionality. So the local traffic manager, it provides the platform for creating the virtual servers and the performance service protocol authentication and security profiles to define and shape your application traffic. So most other modules in the big IP family, they use called the local traffic manager as a foundation for these services. So the big IP DNS, so the global traffic manager, the big IP DNS, it also provides a kind of a security and load balancing feature that the local traffic manager can offer. So the local traffic manager is for creating, it's like a platform for creating in the software module only. This the big IP local traffic manager is there. So what does it does is like it provides a platform for creating the virtual servers, a performance service protocol for authentication and security. The big IP DNS is like it's kind of a multi-scale. So the big IP DNS will be used to distribute and secure the DNS traffic advertising on based on your application namespaces. Other thing that you'll hear is the access policy manager and big IP access policy manager. So what does this does is provides a federation SSO application access policies and secure web tunneling. It allows some granular access to your various applications like virtual desktop environments or just for the full VPN tunnel. So the next thing is the secure web gateway services. So paired with the APM, the secure web gateway services like enables access policy control for the internet usage. So you can allow, block, verify, and log traffic with APM's access policy. So it allows flexibility to for your acceptable internet and public web application use. So most of the contractors and interns, they like, if someone want to use Facebook but you're not going to be responsible, why it's you're not able to access it. So that's the reason they use the secure web gateway service called SWG. So the big IP, the other thing is called the big IP application security manager, ASM. So this is a F5 web-based application firewall. So this traditional, it's a kind of traditional firewall, and it's a layer 3 protection for this one. So like the zero day, DOS, and click fraud all rely on this traditional security device, so to protect the unique application needs. So another stuff that the big IP has in the software is the advanced firewall manager. So it's designed to reduce the hardware and extra hops required, where like the ADCs are paired with traditional firewalls. So it's operating on the L3 or L4. It helps to protect traffic destined to your data center. So paired with the ASM, you can implement production services at L3 to L7 for a full ADC and secure environment. So next thing, let's see about big IP hardware. So the big IP hardware, like it offers several types of custom solutions. So all are designed in-house, like with different boxes. So the big IP hardware is offered via series releases. So each offering improvement for performance and features depending on what is the customer requirements. So some customer may require increased port capacity, traffic throughput, CPU performance. So the FPGA feature functionality for hardware-based scalability, virtualization capabilities. So there are two primary variation of the big IP hardware. So one is a single chassis design, or it's called a Viprion modular design. So each offer unique advantages for internal and co-located infrastructure. So you would have now known like what is like what happens with the big IP. What is its used for in big IP? There is something called big IP software, and another thing it is called big IP hardware. And what happens in big IP software, and what happens in big IP software. So you want to know more about this one, like we have to know about the Dev Central basics, how this SSL TLS versions works. So in FI big IP, so like we use like a global traffic manager to do an update to another GTM. We use called virtual cluster multiprocessing. It's called VCMP host. So we can use like 6 to 8 instances for the virtual cluster multiprocessing VCMP. So this virtual, the VDCs are all launched in the some they use the Nexus platform. So the Hyper-V VMware, the physical hosts like the ESXi, say they provide the hardware in top of that for running the virtual machine. So the all hardwares are mostly run on all virtual machines. So the application load balancing is not done here. So if you take for like USA, like a Houston, so one hardware will be in one DC, in another hardware will be in another DC. There we use like the LTM AUR. So for the first hardware, for using for the high availability within this data center. So the GTM is like a global traffic manager. So the GTM, if you update one GTM, it provides an update to another GTM. If one failed, the other one will be up. So the DNS delegation, as you know, like when we use the DNS delegation in the GTM 0. As well. So LTM, GTM, VMware, VSXi, load balancers. So these are some terms that you'll be need to know, like for VCMP hosts, so which are built on the F5 BIP. So how to add more devices. You require licenses to add more devices on the F5. If you require 60 or 70 licenses to add more devices on the F5s based on the application needs. If you're not able to take the backup or any backup as dismissed, you need to make sure that the FI has captured up the backup. So this FI will be connected to your access switches. If it's a Nexus switch or anything, that will be in a port channel where there will be redundancy to the port channel, and we define different VLANs in which your different applications will be launched. You can have like n number of 160 to 200 virtual servers. You can have it, and you can create some I rule lists in this FI big IP, where like you can say like this one to provide a 301 302 error code, or if you want to create a rule like abc.com should go to zyz.com, you can create I rule policies as well in this FI big IP. So this video is just to show like how what FI big IP does in a real time, and how it is like a modification to the IASA, like how the software and hardware works in the FI big IP. What are the rules? How are your applications launched? What are the different applications that are launched in the FI, and what how much RAM capacity or hardware that is required in the FI? What is the different type of hardware that's required in the FI? Hope this content was useful. Cheers, guys.